Before I get to today's episode, I want to let you know about episode 300 of Bit Depth, which will be live. On March 19th at 7 p.m., you can watch me squirm amid the barrage of impossible questions that I subject my guests to. Then, you can ask me even more questions right to my face, challenge my contradictory beliefs, ask for my stance on controversial topics, find out what my favorite video game is. More details in the description. Theme music. Family is a consistent theme in your music. Not so much like, why is that? We know family is important, but like, still, why?
Yeah. I think so. The family, like my immediate family that I grew up with, I would say is like Malcolm in the middle level, dysfunctional. Like some stuff I look back and I'm like, yikes. But also a lot of love. And I think in my early 20s, one of the things that I was having a lot of trouble with was just kind of grappling with like how different my friends' childhoods were than mine, and how like where to go with my relationships with my brothers and my mom and dad. And and I think there just was like a lot of stuff all at once. My mom got sick with like a lung infection, and then she got breast cancer, and my dad was an alcoholic, and my brother was doing heroin, and it just was like all at once.
Yeah. My mom had breast cancer as well. She is still alive. So it is an amazing miracle, and my mom's a superhero. And so, I know what it's like to have a parent go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because like I have a hard time writing about myself or even like my own life. This album that I'm working on right now it's called Hypothetical, and it's all just like stories. And like, I don't know what's so hard for me to like write about myself, because it's not like there aren't stories, but it's more of like, I don't feel comfortable enough yet being like, you need to hear about my life or something, like the imposter syndrome, or of like, am I wasting your time by like putting my music in your face? Like the thing that every artist has to go through. And like, I'm happy with these songs that I've written, even though they're not necessarily, there are some in there that are like tangentially about my own life, but it's like I'm hiding it in stories, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, like how you, I guess, get over that hurdle, because I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of like what authors will say about like a memoir versus fiction, where they say like there's more of themselves in the fiction than there is in the memoir. And like, just, it's hard. It's weird to look at your own stuff and like put it out in the world, because you only have one side of each interaction. But it still counts, like your view. A really powerful moment for me was watching a clip of like Conan O'Brien, and they had like Patrice O'Neill on, who is this comedian. And he was talking about how his mom did something, like hit him and his like siblings or something when he was a kid. And it was like really funny. And Conan O'Brien was like, oh my gosh, like, is your mom going to see this? Like, are you okay? Like saying that? And he was like, she knows. She knows it happened. She was there.
Yeah.
And that moment of just like being like I, in my house growing up, like so much wasn't talked about. And it was like, that is like really normal for people to like not talk about hard things and to pretend like they didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, it's normal for any kind of relationship, you know, like classic like roommate situation. It gets like really awkward because you are like living together with sometimes a stranger, and you have to like deal with the way that they make mess and the way that they make love, and like it's right there. And yeah, I just think that like I came to really like having real conversations completely in the open, and the people who also like having those conversations, I'm like, oh, we're really close now, like super quickly. And I luckily have like 2 aunts and a cousin who can real talk with me about, you know, like my family and whatever. And it just is like, I kind of brought that into, once I realized that that makes a big difference, I was like, oh, like I would like to do that in my art as well.
Yeah. That is actually exactly why I have this podcast. Like,
yeah,
the whole point is to have actual conversations rather than the facade of a painting that we're putting in front of ourselves. And so, yeah, I mean, and that's sort of the point of the questions themselves and why we're trying to, like, I am intentionally forcing you to deal with these deep concepts. So yeah.
They're great questions. You're
Thank
doing
you.
a great job.
And then comedy. Comedy is a big part of your person, not even just like your art, but like who you are. So I guess like, what is your approach to that?
That was like a third interest of mine that I was like really split between. When like graduating college, I was like, oh, I like art, I like music, I like comedy, and none of them pay. And I found myself, last year school, I did stand up a handful of times, and I had it wasn't like traumatic, but I had a weird experience with another comic that made me very uncomfortable and not feel safe doing it there anymore, at least. And I started doing improv comedy at Improv Boston, which is now closed, sadly. But I think I went there for like 2 years, and I just went to like the drop-in classes because we were touring all the time and I could never go consistently enough to go to the paid classes. And yeah, I had a blast. It felt amazing. Also like comedy compared to music, like being on stage, especially stand-up, was like, it was a crazy experience. I had one particular like 3 minutes or something that like it felt like the biggest like adrenaline rush ever. Like, and then because it was such a short amount of time, I wasn't really exerting any like extra energy like playing. And it was just like, there's no setup, tear down. So it was just like 3 minutes. All the adrenaline like was focused at me. And then I just rode my bike home so fast. Like it's just, yeah. So I have loved like a lot of comedians over the time. Especially like Sarah Silverman and Tina Fey. And I love Amy Schumer. And I would say one of my top, Maria Bamford. Just amazing. Just a side note, she did this super badass move where her college that she went to asked her to speak, and she asked for a certain rate and they denied her. And then she kept negotiating with them until they gave her her rate, which was like pretty reasonable, but maybe a little out of their comfort zone. And then she talks about it in her speech about all that. She just brings it all up, her negotiations, everything. And then she gives all of it to a student in like the arts and who had a lot of loans. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, it's just totally badass. But yeah, I love comedy.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting sort of like manifestation in the way that like it's specifically like comedy embedded in music or embedded in art is like, you know, the niche becomes far smaller and it's like, you know, you got Dimitri Martin, Bo Burnham, Weird Al, and like that's the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I guess what do you use to like balance it? Because I think in your music, it's never unintentional or like to avoid something. In fact, that like the comedy only confronts the thing better than if you like confronted it with like the pure gravitas that it needed, you know? So I guess, yeah, like, do you intentionally balance that, or it's just like, I gotta throw this joke in?
I feel like less and less funny lately. And I think that's like a lot due to like the state of the world. And yeah, I think that it's kind of shifted from less like joke oriented and like especially like shock humor. Like that's not really where the world is at, or at least some of the world. And yeah, I feel like the thing that is like super soothing and funny still these days is kind of like Joe Pera. Do you know Joe Pera Talks With You?
I don't know Joe Pera.
I'm so jealous for you to explore. So he has a show on Adult Swim, and it is wholesome as fuck. It's so beautiful. He like the episodes are like him going to a diner, him going on a walk, him like going to a wedding. Like they're like super normal things that like he both like finds the beauty in and the funny in. And I've seen this a lot where recently the wholesome thing is going over so much better than it has like my whole life. In media, like I think people need comfort, and the kind of extra drama that like, you know, America got with like Breaking Bad or something like does not fit this moment anymore. And it kind of makes me think about like what it would have felt like in the 50s or something after World War II, where people have seen a lot of stuff and they're ready to just like have something nice and not be dramatic. And obviously, like, you know, all the years since then has been kind of like a backlash toward that idea of like, yeah, well, here's your nice, you know? And I think like so many movies and shows and comedy has been like a response to that. But I think kind of being in a time where it's really crazy and possibly about to get a lot crazier, we do need like a hug.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only been like 2 hours since I've talked about metamodernism for you listeners. So do you know about metamodernism? Okay, so it's the like what now follows postmodernism, and we are in the era of metamodernism. And honestly, I think that like what you make and what Ben makes, what Trust Fund Ozu makes, like this is like metamodernism in its whole, is that like it's not just about critiquing the state of affairs, which is what postmodernism was all about, but it's more about like acknowledging the water we're swimming in. And so like the metamodernism is more about like acknowledging the systems at play that we are within, rather than just critiquing the systems. We're noticing the systems themselves. And so something that happens a lot in metamodernist media is that it like, one, it acknowledges itself as what it is, but it also intentionally fluctuates between sarcasm or satire and pure sincerity. And that it's like, it's not about, you know, pretending like you're above it all. It's that like we are in this, and some of it is funny and also like terrifying. And instead of, you know, what would have happened maybe 10, 15 years ago of like, whoa, shit's fucked up, let's just like laugh about it. Now it's like, shit's fucked up, here we are, we're all fucked up about it.
Yeah.
Now let's laugh. Like, and so like, it's less about trying to avoid it or make fun of it, but literally just be in it, and be sincere about it. And so, there's like two moments that I think about, and I think the YouTuber Just Right talked about it, or maybe Nerdwriter, I forget who it was, but there's a moment in Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi one, compared to the moment in Doctor Strange, which is like basically the same like thematic moment, which is in Doctor Strange, he like puts on the cape and he's like, let's do this thing, basically. But like then the cape like starts wiping his face. And that's the movie being like, haha, we can't take ourselves too seriously right now. Whereas in Spider-Man 2, it's like Doc Ock comes and takes Mary Jane, and he like is now realizing he has powers, and he like, you know, puts on his glasses, can't see, and throws them down. The glasses hit the ground in slow motion. You see like him clench his fist, and it's like real. And it's like, yeah, this is the powerful hero moment. But it's not ironic. It's not being like, oh, this is too cheesy, we can't like hold on to this moment. It's like, no, we're actually in this thing. And so I feel like metamodernism is doing both at the same time. It's not trying to laugh away the sincerity. It's trying to just be in the sincerity when it exists. And so Bo Burnham's Inside is like one of the biggest examples of metamodernist art. Sufjan Stevens, in a way, also is like a metamodernist creator. Childish Gambino and all this sort of stuff is like acknowledging the thing while also doing the thing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So you've been doing it all this time.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like I think how my brain works a bit.
Yeah, and I mean like the song that played at the end of last podcast like show you like there are levels of that, you know, being like funny about it, but it's also like fuck you. Like
Yeah.
it's sincerely fuck you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
and that's what like I'm all about these days, metamodernism. Like I'm looking at everything through a metamodernist lens nowadays because it is far more useful than just critiquing media or critiquing government or critiquing whatever in a postmodernist way. But like, hey, what are the effects of this thing? How can we look at it really if we zoom out more? Yeah. I don't know how to like turn that into a question. Do you have thoughts about that?
Well, thank you for explaining it to me. I feel like you did a good job. Yeah, I feel like the Joe Pera, especially the way that they handle the pandemic, also it feels like really along those lines. Yeah, I also, yeah, I think like especially hearing like Ben's thoughts about like and like Adam and Amy Nolte, like Adam Neely and Amy Nolte, like the people we know who are our friends who like have to be in the YouTube like algorithm world where they have to guess what will be liked and how much and how seriously because their livelihood depends on it. I feel like that whole way of thinking makes like first of all is like super unhealthy because um it just obviously, you know, like it sucks, you know, like having to predict like a thumbnail and a title that will get people to just watch your work that you worked on really hard sucks. And then also it's super unhealthy, but there's no other like great alternative at the moment. So I think the way that Ben like has made his sweetie cuties on you know, on TikTok and like have just like making something high effort but like no real lesson or like no real like I'll give you a quick tip, like no sleekness. That is like the thing that everyone is trying to do, like feeling like you're kind of out of the main river of everyone trying, I think can really feel like for your soul, like you're doing a better thing. But it also is like a lot less predictable or like way less of it's more of a gamble than if you were just doing the thing that everyone else it seems to be doing. Like video essay on blank, you know, this week, next week, you know, and yeah, even just like the amount, you know, like YouTubers put out things or people post on Instagram or TikTok, you know, like there's like, there has to be all this like intentional, like effort in just like figuring out not only just the art, but how it can fit in this system and like be seen. And that is something I don't know yet if it's making us better artists or worse artists or just like a completely different species, you know, than what existed a long time ago.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my brothers about that like this morning actually, of just I don't there's a lot of good things that come out of social media. There are like good communities to be a part of, good, ways of experiencing things that are happening in real time and stuff like that. But I don't know if the other emergent properties of social media outweigh those benefits, because it seems like Twitter is making us worse people. It seems like having to keep up with the algorithm so that people can see our things on Instagram is making us worse people. I think that having to Photoshop a thumbnail on YouTube just the right way is making us worse people. And in a strange way, like, by intentionally like not playing the game while still playing it, like, might be healthier, which is what I think that, yeah, like you and Ben are doing, of just like, here's a thing, we liked it, we made it, here you go. And instead of trying to like play the game, which is just going to make us unhealthier, let's just do a thing and put it out there, and hopefully people like it. And it turns out that people do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think kind of back to your question about the future. And one of my thoughts is that, like, like I feel like you can kind of connect the dots with everyone's relationship with their phone and their screens and social media, and just be like, well, they are only going to get better at taking our time. Like they're like, these companies are only going to like make that stronger, make us be on there longer and more outraged. um, and I think that there will be like this time where people want to go back to, like early 2000s version of technology, where you have like a separate device for music and you can only play music from it. You can't access the internet. You have a separate device for GPS. You can't access the internet. It's just for that. And it's like the idea of like, like intentionality of like, like I think all of us experience all the time the like, oh, what was I going to do? Like, what did I start this 2 hours ago? I was going to do something. And because it's all in the same place, I was also reading the recent Atomic Habits, and in it, the author is describing how, because like you can't have a place and a time and an intention between like behind your relationship to your phone and your computer, and like you get all jumbled. Like it's all these different contexts, all these different versions of you, all these different conversations you're having, where you're being one way with one person, one way with another, shopping at the same time as, and it's like, we're definitely not made for that. And like, there are things we can do to kind of tease them apart and be like, I'm only going to use this device for these things. I'm only going to use this device. But I feel like even that is kind of beyond our willpower,
Yeah, but I don't know, like, part of me thinks that there might be a way to like still do it while also like giving it the finger, like, and just like, hey, like, I am doing this, and also like, I'm only doing this because you're forcing me to, like, and I'm seeing that more from like people higher up on the like totem pole that like have worked in the system. So like, I don't know, Charlie XCX is like doing posts where she's like, the label is making me be on social media right now, so here's your post. Like, yeah, and it's like, all right, well, cool. Like, but I mean, even Charlie XCX is just like, as a whole, is kind of that shtick anyways. And like uh, also just hyperpop. I love hyperpop. But like, yeah, I don't know if kind of going back to like metamodernism is that instead of just saying that like social media bad, like we can also be like social media bad on social media, like and like telling social media itself that like, hey, get off your phone, or like stop scrolling and go outside, and like, sure, like consume this media that will inspire you to go and do your own thing. Now, like, close this and do something else now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at this particular moment, I'm much more like, I'd like to make something that makes someone's time scrolling a little bit better. Maybe get off of it. But also like, yeah, I do think we're like, there's going to be like a breaking point, I think, where we just like have to not do it if we like still have enough willpower to say no. Like, and yeah, we're not there yet, obviously, but I just, it like the Twitter making people worse is like the most clear I've seen, like, of like in my friend group, people like taking a break and being like, oh my gosh, I was so lost. The world was so dark, and now I'm here and it's fine and I feel great. And it's just like, I've never like been addicted to Twitter, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and I mean, I like it's gonna be like a weird rabbit hole that I'm going down, but like I didn't have Twitter for a while, but then I like had to re-download it so that I could like message a band so that they could get paid because of like the nature of my job. And so like I had Twitter again on my phone, and like, you know, as you do, you pick up the phone and start doing the things that are on it. And then like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, I'm like closing it, being like, that sucked. And, you know, it's not intentionally being like, oh, I'm going to find something to look for that will upset me. It's like, no, it's like, oh, I read a thread and then read the responses and like read what those replies are. And it's like, man, this is not going well. And why do that to ourselves? And so, I mean, we can intentionally do the opposite and like put content out. I hate content, but we make content that is like, hey, have you stopped to like smell things lately? Uh, and that is far better. Like, it inspires us to not click on the next suggested thing.
Yeah, just the whole, like, it's not a surprise that all of those companies like have worked really hard to keep you there and will do anything, show you any kind of thing, however upsetting, to keep you there. And it, just like on a humanitarian level, like the fact that people have to see a bunch of really, really fucked up stuff, whenever it's flagged, um, is, it's really dark, and it's super like, I think while you're on there, you definitely aren't thinking about that. And, or I'm not, at least. And just, yeah, it's pretty, it's just kind of disappointing, I think. But there was this one TED talk that Ben showed me. I'm forgetting his name, but there's like a person who is like really involved in Silicon Valley, and he's an older fellow who talks about like having like all these, utopian conversations with friends about like where like the idea of Facebook will go before it went. And his whole thing was because the ads are free and driving everything else, like they're driving you to stay there, which means that they're going to encourage conflict. I feel like has so directly led to this point in time, and it's awful. And if just like Google was you pay instead of it being free with ads, the whole thing would have shifted in a completely different configuration. And it gets a little bit tricky because it's like you're going to make people pay for the knowledge that everyone should have and have access to, when it's more like just you're paying so you aren't being fed ads. And like that's the biggest difference. And yeah. So yeah, I like that concept of being like, well, I wonder at this point, they've already done it with so many like like shows and Netflix and HBO with the paid subscriptions. Like I would be interested in like a social media version of that where you aren't just getting angry randos telling you things that, like saying like racist things or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is something that I think about a lot, and it kind of goes into that metamodernist idea, but like complex systems have emergent properties that determine the tendencies that exist within those systems. And so I always explain that idea of mine through like music theory. And it's like our 7-note major scale has the half steps between E and F and B and C, and that creates harmony as we know it just because of those half steps. And every chord progression that we've ever heard is like hinging on the fact that those two half steps are where they are, and in whichever other cases are where they aren't specifically. And so then how we do that in everything else, it's like the emergent property of Facebook being like, we need you to see more ads, so we need you to be on it more. It's like, oh, conflict drives engagement. And is there a way to just tweak the algorithm to say like, hey, let's feed you content that just makes you excited and happy for other people rather than driving conflict? And so like, I don't know if that would be like a Monsters Inc. sort of like, oh, laughter is more powerful than fear. But it's like, yeah, what if the algorithm was then tuned to like people being excited for things, which I guess is like what TikTok is a little bit more like, where it's like, hey, let's show you just more stuff that is like cool and interesting. And that kind of engagement is, people just being like, wow, that's so cool. Or, oh, let me show my friend this, instead of being like, I hate you and everything you stand for, and you don't exist.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if that also just has a separate emergent property of like the internet then becomes all cat videos, like the early phase of the internet as well, to where it's like, yeah, good engagement is, people being excited about things. And so it just devolves into like empty, vapid neat stuff that doesn't have any like substance or something. But I don't know. There are engineers and scientists and coders who have been having these conversations and get paid far more than I do to think about that. And then they're like, no, you idiot. If you do it that way, then like Singapore will lose 30% of its income or something. Like it's just like random other emergent properties that happen from these things. A friend was recently telling me that like RuneScape, an online game, is mostly Venezuelans doing like mining for like certain things, for like certain resources and like selling it online, like, and like a large part of like their economy is coming from RuneScape people being hired out, or like, you know, people in Venezuela being hired out to play RuneScape for them. And it's like RuneScape as like an organization is like, well, we can't change the way that these things work because then Venezuelans will not have money.
Yeah.
And
really,
it's just like a strange thing. Like I was born in Venezuela and like I came to the US in 2001. So this is like a really strange thing that I actually didn't even know about my own country. But like, yeah, I mean, everything has like giant other emergent repercussions that come from it. And like, I don't know if any market or any system or anything is like willing to change without having those sorts of repercussions anyways. And so if we all just stopped using Facebook, like what would that do in the real world? You know, if we all just stopped using Twitter or TikTok, like what would that do in the real world? Would it actually make the world a better place? Or would there be all these other like, you know, down the hill effects that it's like, oh no, my like entire livelihood is gone because I am one of the bots that is sowing arguments in Twitter.
right. Yeah. Or just like, I know I got really into like furniture, like I guess like a lot of like furniture flippers will like make YouTube videos on how to, you know, like just strip the wood and sand it and paint it. And so many of them, like all of their work is like through Facebook Marketplace. And it's just like, I'm sure it could all happen somewhere else, but that's where it's happening right now. So it would totally suck for a lot of them for probably a lot of months. They would like really change their income before something like really reliable comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what the premise of like The Good Place was, of like everything is complicated and you can't do a single thing without it having like a whole bunch of repercussions. And so it's like, just because you bought lettuce at the store means that like you're supporting millions of industries that thrive off of slave labor or whatever. And it's like, well, I can't not buy things.
Yeah. And I think it very easily becomes the like, well, what's the point? And I feel like that is a super dark place because it can make a difference. It is just small and is like also not ideal. Like the places where the biggest change needs to happen is like with these like big industries. But like in the meantime, while they are still being funded and lobbied and stuff, like we can like buy the whatever else that supports whoever else and make that change. And I feel like that it does matter. It just might stink how much it actually matters.
Yeah. The phrase act act locally, think globally comes to mind, which is like, yeah, do something in your community that will eventually impact the rest of the world. But like, yeah, literally us ourselves, like, can't do anything about the rest of it. And maybe that's one of the like illusions of social media, is that like it makes us think that we are impacting something greater because it is like, you know, reaching more people. But like there's nothing I can do about the war in Ukraine. And I'm not going to say or do anything about it. Like there's nothing I can add to the discourse that will make it any better or worse, because I'm a musician in Oklahoma. Like and so like yeah, I can like maybe donate some money, but like, you know, I'm also a musician in Oklahoma and I need like whatever money I can get. So like, you know, sure, what's the point? But also like if I make my community, my family, my like the people around me better, then that at least is a small fraction of the world that is better. And if everyone does that, it can maybe trickle out. And sure, but it's like, what can we do? And so, yeah, I mean, a big source of depression probably does come from the fact that we are seeing everything all the time and we can't do anything about it. It's like, yeah, no one was ever able to do anything about it, but like now you're just seeing
Now
it.
we know.
Yeah.
Now we know what's happening, and we yeah. I think it's also like, I feel like there's not any standard of like something being like someone having too much wealth, right? There's, you know, people will say like Jeff Bezos made this much during the pandemic, and if it all was donated here, it would make this big a difference, right? But like the truth is like that doesn't, like, all of that money that they're talking about is like tied up, and like it's not like someone could just get all of that at once. Like it is kind of a fake amount to just like grab and do that with. And I also have never seen any like normalizing of like, personally, I have too much. My cap is this number and I have more than that. So everything past that, I donate. And also like with the norm of like just people donating in the US, like I think it's something like lower middle class donates the most. And it's so it's so interesting. But there should be like a percentage for everyone who can eat and sleep. There should just be an amount that we all have that we donate. And we should all have a cap, whether we'll never even ever get close to it. But like we all should like come up with like how much is too much. And I feel like that idea in our society is so like, I feel like I was 28 before I even heard anyone like say like, oh, you could have too much.
Yeah. Careful there, you dirty communist. But but yeah, I mean, like universal basic income is a thing, but also it is a idea that is being talked about like in the small circles of like the richest of the richest, that are just like, what if I did donate like all of my stuff? And it's like, yeah, but like when I die. And they're like, no one wants to be like the first to like do the sacrifice, but it also makes no difference. Like the statistics show that like having above a certain amount of money doesn't make you any happier.
Yeah.
And actually even more than that actually makes you less happy.
Yeah.
And so but we humans are weird organisms, and like we don't think about numbers in the right way because our brains aren't wired for it. And so, but like, yeah, what does enough look like, and what, I mean, just even the concept of like enough isn't really even explored a whole lot, because like, yeah, we've been raised on this like,
Excess.
well, keep going and get more, because
obviously
that's what it is, right?
Yeah. In that book I'm reading, Braiding Sweetgrass, I just read a chapter. It's called The Honorable Harvest. And it talks about how like in like indigenous cultures, like with a crop, you take less than half, and you don't take the first and you don't take the last. And it's just like, I guess when like colonizers came and they saw people not taking all of it, they're like, they were like, what, like mind blown. Like, of course
These
you have to take it
crazy.
all. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah. And I think it's like really, really ringing a bell with me. And like, I feel like I personally am still very much in like bunker COVID mode when I go grocery shopping. Not every time, but like a lot of the times I like get enough food for like a month. And like, it's like, I won't go shopping, for like 2 weeks or something, but like also the produce then runs out. And it's just like, yeah, it just has made me look inward a lot and just like at what I think is normal, and what like really, really putting a lot of effort to not waste is like a whole thing that I've like basically never explored. And it's not like I'm like wasting truckloads or something, but it matters,
Mm-hmm. Two things that you reminded me about the Braiding Sweetgrass book. Have you ever read Joy Harjo? She has a book called Warrior Poet, and but like, she is another indigenous poet, musician.
Cool.
So Joy Harjo, check her out.
Okay.
But then another thing that like, I think like literally yesterday, I've been listening to Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, and like, in part of the book, the main character is talking about like, no, the world is messed up and we need to like figure out how to live off the land before like everything falls apart. And I've had this idea of like, not really this idea, I've heard about it already and just like been thinking about how to make it happen, of like, suburbia has a massive amount of wasted yard space that could just be food space. And it's like, how much would it cost to just like have someone like use up my yard for food space? And it's like, you can take what you need to like sell at the farmer's market, and then I'll just like have enough for like my household. Because like, anyone who has ever had like a nut tree or a fruit tree knows that like, whenever all of the apples fall off, this is way more than you could ever consume in one household. Yes. And so like, yeah, you're like going to your neighbors and your friends and be like, please take all of these apples. And so if like everyone did that, we would have a completely decentralized agriculture market. And it's a thing that actually exists. Like, people are doing that, and is like, there are communities of people that like do their own growing, but there's also like people that go around and just like farm in other people's yards. And it's like, I'm not sure what the term for it is. I like talked to a friend of mine about it, but like, there's like woofing, which is like people that like kind of just travel around and act as farmhands, and just like only get paid for by like, hey, can I like stay at your place or like park my trailer in your yard, and then I'll just do all the work for you. But like, there are these things around, it exists, or you could, find someone that like can teach you how to grow stuff yourself. And it's like, yeah, I don't need you to like come and like pick everything and like grow everything. Like maybe just come in like every other week just to show me like what I'm doing right or wrong or whatever.
Yeah, like what's a weed? Like show me what yeah, what is bad.
And yeah, like these things already exist. And like if you live in a city, it probably already exists. And we just don't know like what to look for. And yeah, so I mean, it's not that there's no way of doing it. I think that a little bit it's more of just like we don't know what to look for, or we haven't even thought of the idea of like what that would look like.
Since we moved almost every day, throwing away like the like stuff that could go in a compost, I'm like, I gotta start one. And like yesterday I was looking up like the types of worms, and like they're like special worms. Like they're not even just like normal like earthworms. They're like these like manure type of worms, red wigglers, I read. And it's just like, huh, who knew? I'm probably going to get a bunch of worms shipped or go pick some up at a store. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's especially crazy. Like today, someone like talked to me at the grocery store, which was like not a normal occurrence, but
yeah.
he was saying how like he's like talking about gas and saying that it's going to be $10 a gallon. He was just listening to the radio, and I felt like as I was driving, the prices were like going up, and I don't know if it was just like the particular road I was on, but it is like with this like war, you know, it just like I was trying to like imagine what it would be like if gas was that expensive. Like, would we still go on tour? Would I go and visit my friends an hour away? Would, you know, like what does that actually mean? And it's very crazy. And it's never too late to start the compost in the garden, I think, is basically what the conclusion I got was like, I got to do this. Yeah.
And also, I mean, you could just like, even without the compost, like you can just throw a banana peel outside into your garden. Like it's not going to hurt anything or anything.
Okay.
Like you can just do
That's
that.
a good point.
And
yeah.
nature will take care of it. Like,
or my dog will, at least.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like my wife and I do that all the time. Like if there's just like produce waste that we're not using, it's like, oh no, like the bread went bad. And it's like, all right,
whoa,
just throw it outside. Birds will get it. Like whatever.
That's good to know. Okay. I will do that.
Right. Because I mean, what good is it doing in the trash, you know?
I feel like the same part of my brain that like can really like figure out what to recycle also like just thinks ridiculous things about what should be trash, you know, like it's like going back to like kindergarten training, just like like no, like like why would you throw the bread going bad in the trash? Like that's a much better idea.
Yeah. Last thing, what is something that you're watching, listening to, or playing or whatever that you want other people to know about? Whether it's just like stuff that you're into or stuff that your friends are doing or whatever. Yeah.
I feel like the biggest things are Joe Pera Talks with You and How To with John Wilson, which are both shows. I think both Joe Pera Talks with You has 15-minute episodes, and How To with John Wilson has like 23-minute episodes, I think. And so they're both super short and just like they're really different from each other, but they both have influenced me a ton. And yeah, like significant life changes and like ways I think about like how to celebrate have come from Joe Pera Talks with You. And yeah, so can't recommend it enough.
Jessica, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah.
Once again, where can people find your things?
We got a Patreon, YouTube for Justice Cow. Both of them, Justice Cow is the name, and Spotify, Bandcamp, all that, you know, the streaming places. My music is there. And on YouTube, if you look at my playlists, you can see the animations that I've done, which are like the most, like more sweat and blood have gone into those than even my music. So if you have the time.
Yeah. I think people underestimate the amount of time that it takes to like do a single frame of animation.
Oh, yes. My armpits just started sweating thinking about it.
Once again, thank you so much. I'm Santiago Ramones.
Justice Cow. Jessica.
Now what song is going to play after this?
Future.
Sweet. Yeah. Thematically relevant.
Yeah.
How it goes, like you never drew back from each other, like you never thought creatures like you're
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music and produce audio. The music you're hearing now is music I made. You can listen to official releases by Santiago Ramones on Spotify, Apple Music, and the other streaming places. Or you can support me directly by buying my music on Bandcamp. I'm working on Hypothetical, my first singer-songwriter album, so if you'd like to hear that at some point, there are lots of ways to support me on my website. There's a Discord server in which we discuss deep topics from the podcast, but it's also a community of beautiful human beings. All the links to all my things are on my website, santiagoramones.com. Please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It would mean a lot to me to hear what you have to say, and it lets others know what to expect, better than I could ever explain. I want to help the world have deeper conversations, so thank you for listening to and supporting Bit Depth. I was in the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.